Okay guys, welcome back to another episode of our Christmas themed game. Today we are going to be working on, what are we working on? We're going to be start working on looking for a piece of art that we could possibly use as a target. And what else we can do? I forgot. And then we actually need to go and import that asset into the project, and then try and make it appear and disappear at random intervals. So when the game starts, we want the target to obviously appear, multiple of them. Actually, I don't know, do we want multiple or like one at a time? We'll see how things work out, but then let's jump in here and see if it works. So what we're going to do, this is our game that we've got so far. Let's just play this quick and see where we left off. So yesterday we made these backgrounds move from side to side. When they reach the maximum value, they swap direction, and when they reach the minimum value, they go in the opposite direction. So they keep going back to the minimum and maximum value, which is, I think, is 1.5 on each side, minus and positive. So what we want is, we want to go and find probably like a Santa head or a reindeer or like a Christmas tree or some type of Christmas object that we can use as a pop-up target. So we might, actually I don't know what's the best way to do. I probably should have done some research into this, but let's go and do that now. So we want to get some Christmas targets, so let's go and say let's go and say PNG art. Let's see what this comes up with. So we probably want to start off with something simple. We will look for, actually no, we're not going to look for the art now. What we're going to do is we are going to simply get a picture with no background. So let's go and say, let's use we'll just use a picture of Santa for now, just because this is a Christmas themed game. So we want one without a background. We don't want that one because that one just look weird. I really just want a face, so something like I don't know, that's cute apparently. So let's see this one. This one shouldn't have a background, so I'm going to save this in our project folder, which is somewhere over here. So let's save that and then jump. Okay, that's not going to work because it's not a PNG. Let's go and open up in a new tab and then save image as. Let's try this again. Apparently it is a PNG. Santa Claus head. Save that in there. Okay, that's not a PNG, so we need to find a way to save that as a PNG. Let's just find another one. Santa head. That's better. So now let us look transparent. That might help. Let's try this one. Open link, new tab. Is that a... We want to download that. Download this. Close that. Hopefully that starts downloading sometime. Click alphabet. Okay. In order T. This is so annoying. Where's A? An 8. Okay, so there we go. We got our picture. So let's go into our game and import this into our art folder. So here is our Santa's head. We can go ahead and delete that because that's the one we did download, but we're not going to use. So now let's drag this into here and see. This is quite big, so we need to make this smaller. Probably something like that. So we want to drag this up there. So this is what our game is going to look like. We're going to have these heads pop up in random places, and then the player that is playing the game is obviously going to have to click on these to destroy them, and then we will see if we want to, once we got it working, we'll see if we want it to generate multiple heads at the same time, and that stay on the screen for about a second or two, and then we will figure out what art we want to use and if we want to use different art and or just the same one. But for now, let us go and create another script. It's in our scripts folder. Let's go create another one called, what are we going to call this? This is going to be our pop up script. So we will attach this to our picture. First of all, let's go and rename this to Santa's head. Then we can go and attach our pop-up script onto that, and then we will open it up and start coding it. What we also need to do is we need to figure out a way of what am I trying to say? We need to figure out where in the game we're going to pop our Santa's heads into, because at the moment we could, at the moment we don't have anything, but what we could do is we could just put random heads into the game, and then just disable them, and then when we want to show them, we just go and enable them. But we probably won't do that. We probably will do it do it programmatically, so that when the game launches, it starts with 0 pictures or Santa's heads in the game, and then over time it will introduce them as they pop up, which is probably a better choice to do that, because if we don't do it like that and we put them in the scene at before it even starts, then we can only have a certain amount of objects in the scene, unless no, that's true, yeah, because trying to figure out what's the best way to do this. We are going to do it programmatically. Okay, I've decided, because now if we do it programmatically, we can continuously spawn Santa heads into the game. So let's do that. We will figure out a way to do it. So let's go and figure out where we want to start. So I'm going to copy and paste just a few into the game quickly, and then I'm going to move them around. So one's going to pop up there, and that one's going to pop up there. Where's the next one? This one is going to pop up over there. This one will pop up over there, but we need to bring it forward. This one will have pop up over here, and this one, I don't know, let's make it pop up over there. Okay, but first of all, we want to go and put them in no, we don't. So we're also going to have different levels to our pop-up images, because the ones that pop up here at the top of our third wave form thingy, we want them to go behind the wave. So I think it was this one and that one. So that one and that one, when we move them down like that, we actually want them to go behind that. So order in layer needs to be behind this one. So that one is there. So what order is that one? That one is, where is it? 0. So for these heads, we want this to be -1, because they need to be behind that wave. The next ones, which is, I think is that one and not that one, it's that one and not that one, that one and that one, need to be at, actually, are they behind that one? Yeah, so those ones are fine. And then the last one is that one and that one, which are fine, because when we move them up, no, they're not fine. So these ones need to come in front of this one, but behind the bottom one. Okay, so that's fine. So when these ones come up, they will appear in front of the wave. So let's go and do that quickly. So if we select all of our Santa's heads now and we just randomly move them up quickly, you can see now that they do pop up. So that's what we want. So now that we've sorted out the layer, we want to go and figure out the best way to code this. So let's see. Well, I'm probably going to make three different functions, and depending on which function it uses, it's going to. So the first function will only instantiate Santa's heads to pop up in the top layer. The second one will be the middle layer, and the third one will probably be the bottom layer. That's one way we could do it. To be honest, that's the only way. Actually, we could have one function, but then have limits. So we could set like y-axis limits. So if it's above a certain value, it needs to be in a certain layer. That's another way. We'll see. We'll start coding it and see which one works. So at the start, we don't. Ooh, actually, do we want to do it at the start? No. We'll do it in the update methods, and we'll give it a delay. So here, let's go and create a new. It needs to be a serialized field. I can type. This needs to be a game object, I think. This will be our. We're going to start with a single one, but later on we'll add it as an array, and then we'll import all of the images that we want to use as targets into our target array. So this we will go and call target object, like that. We'll save that, and that should give us access to. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new empty object here, and this will be our target manager. So on our target manager, I am going to add our pop-up script, and then in our target object reference here, I'm going to drag in our prefab. So we can go ahead and delete all of these, and then we can make this a prefab by dragging that in there. And let's go ahead and delete that. And on our target manager, I'm going to drag that into there. So now we have a Santa's head as a prefab to use as our target object. So we've dragged that into there. We'll save that quick. And now let us go and give. I'm thinking, should we? Let's have a look here quick. Let's drag this back into our scene. Okay, so let me explain something here. I'm going to explain the two different ways that we could do this. So let's make this 6 quickly so that we can see it in front of all our layers. Okay, so the way I want this to work is we are going to have 3 different levels, and that each level is going to correspond to the wave that it. How am I going to say this? Each level. So if I add, what's the best way to do this? Let's add a. How do you create a UI? Audio, video. How do you create a square? I don't know. Anyway, let's add an image, and we'll just use an image for now. No, we can't, because that's going to create a canvas. Never mind. Okay, so actually, I know we can use this. Our paints, show screen brush. So what we want to have is that's not cool. Okay, so here is going to be our first level, and then we are going to have another level. Actually, that's wrong. Our Santas are going to pop up over here, so that's going to be our first layer. What's that? Our next layer is going to be over. Can't really see the difference between those waves, but our next layer should be somewhere over here, and then our final layer is going to be over there. So depending on which level the Santa heads appear, we need to change the order in layer of the object, because let's get rid of that. So if we have our Santa's heads that decides to appear in the first layer, the order in layer needs to be, I think it is 1. So let's see, yeah, so it needs to be 1. The second layer, let's go and do this quick. So I'm going to create another script here, just so we can keep these values so that we don't have to try and figure it out each time. So we will call this a global script. We'll go and open that up, and then in here we don't want any of this. All we need to have is a public static int, and this is going to be our lower level order or lower level layer, and that is going to be equal to 1. Then what we want to do is we want to duplicate that twice, and this is going to be our middle, and the next one is that needs to be small, and then the next one needs to be upper. We'll call it upper. Okay, so what we want now, let's go and figure out what the next one is. So this needs to be, I think this is going to be 2. No, that needs to be, what is it going to be, 0? Yeah, so that's going to be 0. So that's for our middle layer. And then the next one I think is going to be -1. So let's test that. So we'll change this to -1. So yeah, so that's good. So that means that whenever we spawn them or instantiate them into the game, depending on which level they are, they should appear at the right location. So let us start instantiating them. So we've got these, we can save that, and then we can go. Let's go back to our pop-up. Actually, I think I'm going to rename this. Actually, no, let's forget it, because it technically is popping up our Santa's head, so it should be fine as a name. So in here, what we can do is on our update method, we can start by making a new method here called private. What should we call this? Private void pop up target, like that. I don't know, you can name it whatever you want. But in this pop-up target, we are going to want to pass in a order in layer. So for that, we can go and say int order in layer. And then when we call this over here by saying pop up target, we can go and give it a global dot lower level layer. So everything, whenever we call this method with our lower level layer, the Santa should always appear. Where is it? The Santa's head will always appear with a level, with the order level of 1, and it will always, or should always appear in this level over here, nowhere else, just somewhere along the first wave. Cool, so let's go and try and code this out and see if it works. We probably won't finish this in today's episode, but we'll see how far we get because we're already 20 minutes into it. So let us go and say, actually for now I'm going to bring back our start method, and I'm going to cut that out and put it there. Otherwise, if we keep it in our update method, it's just gonna keep spawning them in every frame. So this way, we're just gonna test. We're just gonna use this by testing the first frame. So it's only gonna instantiate one target into our game. So first of all, let's start by instantiating a prefab into our game. So to do that, I know I've done this so many times, but there's some things you just don't remember. How to instantiate a game object in Unity. And that's probably something I should memorize. So we also want to figure out how to, or actually that's exactly what we want. So let's see what this is like. Void timer, yeah, if timer is less or greater than or equal to interval, instantiate object. Okay, so that's what we want to do. So let's go and say, we can simply say instantiate, and then we can pass in our target object like that. So we'll say that, and let's just go and play the game to see where exactly this instantiates. So we can delete that. Our target manager should have, which it does, has our prefab. So let's go play the game and see. Okay, so our clone, or Santa's head's clone, is being instantiated over there. That's cool. So let's go and do that again and just see if it pops up in the same place, which it does. Cool, so now let's go in and see if we can get that timer to work. So I'm going to jump back into here and see, let's try and get this timer to work so that we can constantly instantiate a few objects. So let's see. Actually, I'm just going to copy this and then we can change it in our code. So we need a interval. So here we'll say private, what is this, float. That is going to be equal to, we'll set ours as 2 for now. We've got our object already. We want a timer. So let's go and say private float timer, and then that's pretty much it. We could probably just reuse all of this quick, so we'll cut that out and paste that in here, and then we will cut that out and paste that in there like that. We haven't used the Odin layer yet, but we will get there eventually. For now, let's just see if we get multiple Santa's heads in our game. So let's play this, and now we do not get anything. So let's see. Timer plus equals timer. That is why. So let's go and cut this out. We need to have this in our update method, because if it's in our start method, it is only being called once at the very beginning of the game. So in our update method, this should now instantiate Santa's heads, which it does. There's our first one. There's our second one, but you can see that they are still spawning on top of each other. So you can see there's the next one, and so on. So now that is a way of using a timer to instantiate them. But now let's go, what's the time, 23? We could probably, let's see. We could start by, what do we want to do next? We need to somehow destroy them after a few seconds if the player has not destroyed them by clicking on them or shooting them, or depending on what we choose. What we also need to do next is we need to change the position of them, because we don't want them to all spawn in the exact same place all the time. We want it to be random. So like we did with our moving waves here, we are going to give it a minimum and a maximum position, and it can spawn a Santa's head or object, whatever it is, anywhere in this range. So let us go and figure out what the minimum and the maximum range will be, and then that will probably be it for today. So actually, let's go and delete that. Let's grab our prefab so it's the right size. So this one, what we want is to have our game. Let's put our game over here quick. So if you look here, you can see this is what we're going to use to determine our maximum and minimum position. So here we want our Santa's head to only be available, well, not available, but we only wanted to spawn in and out of the game between our game bounds. So it is at position -8 over here, so we could probably, let's say -8 and see what that is. -8.5. We also need to change the aspect ratio, so let's go and say 16:9 so that it doesn't change when we enlarge the screen. Then we want to move the main camera into the middle here somewhere. Actually, we need to change that because you can see our waves here are not working properly. Let's just go and play this and see what it looks like. So we need to change them, or we don't really need to change it, we just need to make them longer, to be fair. Okay, but that's a problem for another day. So what we need to do is figure out our minimum and maximum value. So this we can probably make -8, and then so -8 and 8. Let's just make sure that's good. So -8 and 8. So yeah, that's fine. So we can go into our global here and say public static int minimum target what are we going to say, location is equal to -8. We'll leave it like that for now. If we want to change the name, we can do it another day. Max target location is equal to +8. So we'll save that. So now we can use those when instantiating it. We can go and set a position to it. So let's go and say that. Let's go and say target object dot transform dot position is equal to. Actually, we'll go and let's see if we can just change the x value. So what we want to do is, what's this? The type of namespace target object could not be found. Object. Okay, let us do this. Let's see if this works. Dot position dot x is equal to 0. Does that work? No. So let's go and see how to change the of a game object in Unity. Let's try this. Target object, what am I doing? Target object dot game object dot transform dot position dot x is equal to 0. Does that work? That doesn't work either. Show potential fixes. I just did that and you said it can't be done. Now let's see, could not modify return value or transform the position because it's not a variable. That is not how you spell instantiate. Instead, gain object in Unity at a position. Instantiate game object. We have done this in our previous games, but it's probably just easier to look it up. But also, this is something simple that I should know already, but I choose not to remember it. Okay, so let's say here we're going to create a new, this is going to be vector, we'll try to vector 2 new location is equal to new vector 2 Then we're going to create a random location. So here we'll say int random is equal to random dot range, random, I think it's range only, range, and then giving it the range, and that is going to be global dot minimum target location, and the max is going to be global dot max target location, like that. Then for our int or our vector2 x value, we can use our random, and then for our y value, we need to figure out what our y value, what we want our y value to be. So actually this is going to be a vector3, because this is where we are going to determine where we want our order in layer. So here we can put order in layer as our z value, because that will hopefully put it in the right layer. So let's go and determine what what's it called, what our y value is going to be. So for that we can say, I'm going to copy this and paste that there. So lower level y, upper level y, and or mid layer y and upper level y. So we need to go and change these. So for our upper level, we are going to want our y to be at 1. Let's try 1. Let's see. Yeah, so 1, we'll set that as 1. Our mid level is going to, let's change this quick. Order in there is going to be at 1. So this needs to be probably somewhere around minus 0.9, and we are going to need to change that to float. So let's just go and change all of these to float, because they will probably be, in the future we'll probably change it to generate a random value. This one for now we'll just say minus 0.75, and then we'll just do 0.1.0 for now. And then for our pop-up we can go and insert into here. So here we will say, for now we will just add it on our mid-level layer. So let's go and say global dot mid level y. So we'll save that, and let us go and change this. So instantiate our target object at our new location, new location. So argument 2 cannot confirm to vector3 transform dot let's see, can we show potential fix? Okay, nope. What happens if we copy this and paste that into there? What's the error? Let's go look up the error. Cannot convert from Unity vector3. Copy that and see if that. Nope, we can't copy that. That's so annoying. Cannot convert from vector3 to dot transform. Let's look that up. Unity cannot. If you pass 2 arguments, the second needs to be a transform. If you pass in a vector3 for position, you need to pass the rotation as well. Okay, so let's go new location and 0 as rotation. Let's see, no rotation. How do you pass no rotation? Actually, let's just go and say transform dot rotation. So hopefully there will be no rotation, because there exists no rotation in the game at the moment. So let's see, in our scene we are still getting Santas, but you can see they are, okay, so the order in layer is incorrect. So what do we have? Middle layer, order in layer, lower. Okay, so we're using our middle level layer, but on our pop-up target here we're using our lower. So here we need to say mid level layer. So hopefully if we save that and go back into here and play the game, we should now see more Santa heads pop up, which we do not, because clearly I've got that wrong again. So this is order in layer -1. So I'm going to pause this quick, and I'm going to let's do this quick. Santa's head, this is the one we need, and this one is at 1. So this needs to be at, what is it, 0, I think. Yeah, so that needs to be at 0. So why is it wrong? Did I get it wrong? Mid-level layer, what did I use? Yeah, okay, so I know that's not gonna work. Okay, so this we will set at 0, and then what we can hopefully do is go and say target object dot order. Okay, let's see, how do you, I've never changed an order in layer programmatically before. Let's see, unity change if I can get the order in layer script. How do you change the sprite sorting layer? Let's have a look here quick on our sprite. Okay, so what we're going to do is, let's try and do this. So target object dot get component sprite dot or, can we do that? Dot order dot sorting, or no, that doesn't work. What are we doing? That needs to be sprite renderer. This needs to be or sorting order. There we go. Sorting, now sorting order is equal to our order in layer. Hopefully that works. So it'll save that, and now hopefully this will be correct. So let's go and play this again, and then let's delete that quick, play this, and now hopefully we get some Santas in our game. So we still are getting them, but clearly not in the right location. So what's this one? This one is -1, this one is 0, that's 0, 0. Okay, so the first one didn't work for some reason, don't know why. But there you go, you see they are actually working. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move this out the way quick. Let's just pop this out the way and see if we get any spawning at the back there. So obviously these Santas are going to pop up in the game continuously without stopping, because we haven't stopped them. But we don't see any more. Okay, so there's another one. Wait, that one is there. That one's over there. So they are spawning on top of each other, which is what we don't want. So that is probably something we will do in the next episode. Let's see, what's this console log? Let's go clear on play. Let's see what error we're getting. Clearly nothing. Okay, you assign variable pop-up has not been assigned. The variable target object, what? It has been assigned. Target object, no. Yeah, it has. interval to what? That doesn't make sense, because if it hasn't been assigned, it shouldn't be it should not be instantiating. I think I know why. So let's go onto our prefab here, open up our prefab, and apparently we still have our pop-up script attached to it, so we want to delete that because we don't need that on our Santa's head. So now when we play the game, we should no longer get that error in our console because it's no longer attached. So there we go. Here we have our Santa's heads popping up into the game. So in the next episode we are going to start working on what are we going to do? We are going to start working on maybe spawning them on the different levels, but also we need to go ahead and delete them out of the scene if the player hasn't clicked on them before the timer runs out. We'll probably add like a 2-second timer, or maybe that's even way too long, probably like a 1-second timer for each Santa head. And then we also want to go and figure out how to not allow them to spawn on top of each other, because if there's already a Santa's head there, we don't really want it to spawn on top of the one that's currently in the game already. So we'll go and figure that out. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today's episode. So thank you so much for watching if you made this far, and I'll see you in tomorrow's episode. Remember, daily until the end of the year, hopefully. We'll see how, or except for weekends. We'll see how it goes. Cool, thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. No, that's the wrong screen.